State, and thank you very much for each candidate giving us their background and reason why they're running. Just to let everyone know that all the candidates were invited to attend this evening, but some were not able to attend. So listen, we have 2 of the 8 candidates that are running, and listen, you'll get to hear their perspective on the questions as well. We do have some audience members, and they have given me some of their questions, and we're going to ask the candidates. So one of the hot questions right now in the city of Newark, and I think everyone basically know what I'm about to ask. He said it. Are you a supporter of charter schools? So we're gonna tell us the reason why or why not. Explain, elaborate. Do you think they are do you think they are impactful to our community and to our children? So we're gonna start off with Ms. Thomas.
I want to say that I'm in favor of any system that's designed and created with a mission to improve the education of students, whether it's charter, public school, private, Montessori, homeschooling. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's an entity that's designed around building up students that can take their skills and apply them in their community and in their personal lives is something I support. So if it happens to be an excellent charter school and is doing just that, then I support it. If it's a public school and it's doing just that, I support it. If it's Montessori and it's doing just that, I also support it as well. So I'm not against any type of style of education, because I think we do need choices and we do need alternatives, but the way it's implemented, I think that's like a different issue in itself. So if the question was more of, do I support the practices and the cronyism and all the other antics around charter schools or any other type of schools, then no, I don't support that, because ultimately the students are being affected. And that's something I just can't support.
Okay. Well, I'm running for Newark Public Schools Board of Education, so that just goes to show that I support public education. As far as charter schools go, I don't necessarily agree with charter schools. And some people confuse charter with choice, and that's not the case. Having this discussion earlier daily, if we're going to have choice, we need to call choice. We need to have what it is called choice. Parents should be able to send their school to a well-resourced, well-funded public school, a well-sourced charter school, a well-sourced and well-educated and well-funded private school, and a parochial school. Unfortunately, we don't have those anymore here in the city of Newark. Some things that I don't agree with charter, and that's why I don't support them. In some charter schools, the teachers aren't certified. Teachers are able to teach while they're working to get their certification. And in some charter schools, some of the staff don't even have their degrees. The governance is definitely different. In public school, you have to be certified to teach. Charter school, that's not necessarily the same process. The discipline is different, the curriculums are different, and their overall functions are different. So when we try to compare both, it's hard to do because they have very different guidelines. And also looking at data shows you that charter schools aren't outperforming public schools. And we also have to keep that in mind when we try to compare the two and ask which one is which. Again, I'm running for the public school board. I'm a firm supporter of public school. I support students overall, but again, firm believer, firm supporter of public education.
Thank you very much for your responses. As it relates to the advisory board, the next question I have here from an audience member is this: how do you expect to create change, being that the board has no power over the local schools? So I'm going to begin with Mr. Jackson.
Well, that word comes up a lot, and you know, we got to be careful when we say no power. We all know that because we're a state-run district, the final say goes to the Department, the Commissioner of Education, and the Governor of the State of New Jersey, and the State Superintendent. However, as a board member, we are there to use our voices via the community to voice our concerns and our problems that we have, just to speak on school closings and budget issues. We can galvanize the community, keep the community informed with figures and numbers and facts, gather them, support them, have them come together so that we can fight the powers that be together. So that would be one way to use our voice, also to galvanize. So I don't think we're powerless in terms of our ability to gather and to speak out. Voting-wise, that might be an issue, but again, if we can keep the pressure like we've been doing, informing the public, getting them out to meetings, forcing the superintendent not to come. Some people think she's being arrogant, but that's just goes to show, as one community person stated, that that's just showing the pressure that we're putting in. We're putting so much pressure on the board and on the state of New Jersey that the superintendent doesn't even want to come because she can't take the heat. So, and if we had a few more board members who were strong than Ms. Anderson, you know, and the other powers, then, you know, we can change some things around. So that's my take on that.
Before you answer, Ms. Thomas, I want to piggyback to you, Mr. Jackson. Why do you think people think the board is powerless? Do you think they have the wrong impression? They're not informed. They don't really understand what power the advisory board has and what they don't have. So is it just them being misinformed about what you can or cannot do, when they're just thinking that you're not going to be effective?
Well, I'm going to answer that in kind of two ways. For one, the voting aspect, I can understand where people come from when they say they don't have any power, because whether they vote on something or they vote against, at the end the superintendent can override, also with the governor and the Commissioner of Education, override that decision and do whatever they want to do or try to anyway. But the reason why people contribute the fact that the board is powerless is because, for one, visibility. Unfortunately, lately our board has become more visible in the community, but a few months before, as soon as a few months before, and going years back, the board hasn't been visual, hasn't been active, haven't been informing the community on what's going on. So a lot of people consider them as you know, people who come to the board meeting, vote yes on everything, and then go home because they're not visual. They're not giving out facts and information as they should be. So that's why people can confuse them as being powerless. But if we can come together, and I'm just speaking of hypothetically when I become board member, and galvanize other board members and start telling the community, this is what's going on, this is what the superintendent has proposed. She's met with us, she said she wants to close this, wants to cut that, wants to throw this away. If we can start to do that and start to get parents informed, students involved, community advocates informed, start rallying like we've been doing, even with a more presence, start legally taking legal action, because that's one thing the board has definitely fallen back on. They haven't taken enough legal action against the superintendent in the state, which we definitely need to sit down and talk about, because we need to start legally hitting them. And when I mean them, I mean the superintendent in the state of New Jersey, because there's a whole lot of legal things that the superintendent and her staff and this dear governor have fallen short on.
I definitely I agree with some of the things Mr. Jackson said. I don't think the board is necessarily powerless. I believe some responsibilities have been taken away. I just think the board as a whole is just lackluster in their performance. I don't think they're executing the way they should. I don't think they're exerting the type of influence that they can on the community. I just don't, overall, I don't think the current board is going 100%. So I don't think they're powerless at all, because if they can get the community out, parents to participate, right information, a lot of changes can happen. And as Mr. Jackson stated, there's a lot of legal issues that have been being violated. There's legalities that the superintendent is just ignoring, and she's kind of doing what she wants to do only because it's getting by and no one's challenging her. And that's the whole purpose of the board, you know. But if they're going to be lackluster, then it appears as if they don't have any power. They have power. Just because there's no fiscal responsibility doesn't mean all the power is taken away, you know, because there's still actual meetings going on. They're still signing off on things. Even we had a forum previously where a question was asked about a technology plan, and this is how lackluster the board is. They started talking about something that they signed off on, and they just recreated it as if it didn't even exist. And that was something I didn't understand. If you signed off on it, how come you don't even